A prosecutor kicked off the Squeegee Kid murder case. Now the victim's family wants her to be put back on. Fox 45 News looks at what it would take to make it happen. Guns continue to make their way into the hands of Baltimore criminals.
In most of these neighborhoods, it's easier to find a gun than a Giant's, a supermarket.
Experts examine why they are so easy to get and what they say needs to be done to stop it. And high temperatures expected to be near freezing this weekend. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is timing out the drop hour by hour.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
We're covering three big stories today in a city in crisis. First, a day after Timothy Reynolds' accused killer is ordered to remain in adult court, Reynolds' family makes a new demand. They want the original prosecutor reinstated on the case.
And many now want answers about where that teenager got the gun. Fox 45 News investigates gun culture in Baltimore and what can be done to get them off the streets.
Baltimore City Council members may soon be eligible for a pension after only 8 years of service. Why the perception they're acting in their own best interest may be reality for those looking at this situation.
But first, you are taking a look around the northern part of the country as a winter storm is expected to dump feet of snow on Buffalo, New York this weekend.
Unfortunately, we're not expecting any snow in our area, but it is going to be cold. In fact, it's kind of chilly by some estimates right now.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. Let's send it right over to meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with just how cold we can expect it to get this weekend. Hopefully no snow, Jasmine.
Well, actually, there is the potential for a few flurries here in our area this evening, but it would be isolated, so no accumulation. Nothing like what we're seeing to our north. Notice we do have this cold front extending across the country, and we are seeing snow mainly to our north, especially around parts of New York. That's where they're dealing with lake effect snow, leading to those high accumulation totals. Actually, yesterday, Buffalo recorded 9.4 inches of snow, and they're expecting more. Now, here in our area, we are mostly dry here in Baltimore, but notice the areas of green starting to appear. We also had a little bit of snow near Hagerstown, but most of what we're seeing right now is rain, all because of our warmer temperatures. But this evening, there will be the chance for a few isolated showers, and there could be a few flurries mixed in with that, but nothing too much. It will all start to clear after midnight, and then we stay dry for the rest of the weekend. Current temperatures are in the 40s, and this is likely the highest that we'll have for the rest of the weekend. I'll let you know how low temperatures get coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. If you aren't planning to head out to M&T Bank Stadium this Sunday, you can catch all the action right here on Fox 45. The Ravens will try to improve their winning record by beating the Carolina Panthers. Kickoff at 1 p.m. We'll have complete coverage after the game on Sports Unlimited.
Well, if you do decide to go to the game, put the power of the Weather Authority Storm Center in your hands. Just download the free WBFF Weather Authority app for your smartphone. Use our powerful Doppler radar to follow storms and falling temperatures right down to your street. Just head to the App Store and search for WBFF to get started.
Today, Baltimore City sits at 299 homicides. It is one behind last year's mark of 300. If the city hits 300 people murdered, it will mark 8 straight years that these tragic high numbers have occurred.
We have live team coverage of a city in crisis. Let's begin with Mackenzie Frost, who has been covering the trial of one of those accused shooters, a teenage squeegee kid. Mackenzie, what is the new development today?
Well, we're learning some new pleas from the victim's family. The suspect is the teenage squeegee kid. He's accused of killing Timothy Reynolds at the Baltimore Inner Harbor intersection of Light and Conway earlier this summer. The original prosecutor on the case, Rita Wisthoff-Ito, was kicked off earlier this week. She was handling this prosecution. Marilyn Mosby accused the prosecutor of leaking information to the victim's family attorney as this case played out, and we awaited the verdict of whether this case would stay in the adult or move to the juvenile justice system. Now, Thuroo Vigdaraja is the attorney representing the Reynolds family as this case moves it through the criminal system, and he says Marilyn Mosby was wrong to remove the prosecutor in the case because he says that the prosecutor had a legal obligation to share this information with the victim's family and their representatives. The Reynolds family is calling on Marilyn Mosby to reinstate Rita Wisthoff-Ito, and they say that they believe she was acting in their best interest.
This is so ridiculous. The prosecutor under Maryland law is required to share with the victims what's going on as well as court filings. that's not just the right thing to do, it's the legally required thing to do. I think we know what this is really about. Rita and the detectives were willing to fight for justice. They were willing to fight for the Reynolds family, and Marilyn Mosby wanted them to roll over. And Rita, God bless her, had the courage and integrity to say, I'm not going to do your dirty work.
Mackenzie, will the state's attorney reinstate the prosecutor? Do we know anything about this other than maybe it being considered a personnel matter?
It's unclear at this time. I did reach out to the state's attorney's office and asked if Rita would be reinstated and why her other homicide cases were taken away from her, as we have learned. But so far, I haven't heard back. We also know that Marilyn Mosby sent out a memo to all staff earlier this week reminding them not to share information, especially about juvenile cases. But again, Vignarajah says that the prosecutor was legally obligated to share the information with them as this case moved forward. So it's unclear what will happen with Rita right now. And we also know that the state's attorney's office continues to be short-staffed. Another concern Vignarajah raises, especially in the homicide division, where he says the prosecutors there really are lacking when it comes to experience. We'll take another look and a closer deep dive look at this coming up at 5 o'clock. For now, live in Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Well, a big question that remains is where that gun in this case came from. His defense telling Fox 45 News that guns are everywhere and it's easy to get one here in Baltimore. Alexa Ashwell dug further into the issue and joins us live with what she has learned. Alexa?
Well, Maxine, this is a question we've been asking police and most recently the teen's defense attorney. Take a listen to his response.
In most of these neighborhoods, it's easier to find a gun than a Giant's, a supermarket.
No, I don't. And you know, I've been asked that so much. And you know, there's so many guns out here until it's like asking him where did he get his cell phone.
So there's two different comparisons there. To date, the Baltimore Police Department says officers have seized 2,245 guns. That's 226 more than this time last year. And it's not just on the streets of Baltimore. Guns are also being found on students inside city schools. Last year, city schools police seizing a record 15 guns. And now, just 3 months into the school year, the department has already seized nearly half of that record number, with the 7th gun found on an elementary middle school student just this week.
And Alexa, why do experts say this hasn't quite, the increase in gun seizures hasn't translated into a reduction in homicides or shootings in the city?
Yeah, that is a question I asked a law enforcement expert, and Tyrone Powers, he told me consequence is key, specifically speaking to the new and incoming Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and federal partnerships like the one recently announced by Maryland's U.S. Attorney Eric Barron. One initiative you may recall involves investigating repeat offenders and taking those offenders off the streets by any means or violation found.
The guns keep flowing back in and repeat offenders keep committing crimes and having guns flow back in. So if you are Mr. Bates and you're coming into office, you're going to accept any and all help you can get, including this Al Capone model of dramatically reducing crime. You're going to work intimately with federal prosecutors.
Now, the mayor also speaking to the need for more accountability after the arrest. More on that at 5. For now, reporting live in Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Alexa. In a city in crisis, Baltimore City Council is one vote away from shortening the amount of time it takes for them to earn a pension. If it becomes law, it would mean lifetime benefits for part-time work. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor is asking the public and political experts to weigh in on the perception problem this creates. Rebecca?
Yeah, Kai, many of those that I spoke with, they say that the perception of this plan is that city officials are trying to pass themselves a pay raise, a concept that political experts are very quick to point out goes against our Constitution.
They don't do the work.
It's not fair at all.
Baltimore residents quick to speak out against the fast-tracked bill aimed at lowering the number of years Baltimore City leaders must work to earn a pension. Currently, they must serve 12 years, but this bill would bump that down to 8. City Council President Nick Mosby arguing it's necessary after Baltimore City voters overwhelmingly passed Question K on Election Day, establishing 8-year term limits for locally elected officials. But voters we spoke with say it seems like city officials care more about making money than making the city a better place.
It feels like they only worried about money. and that's all they talk about.
Political experts also weighing in.
This is awful optics.
I think they ought to be embarrassed.
Professors Richard Vatz and John Deedy pointing to the U.S. Constitution, specifically the 27th Amendment, which reads, no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall intervene. This means that although Congress can change its salary at any time, the new salary can't take effect until a general election has taken place.
The theory is that you're not supposed to vote on compensation that affects you.
I think that maybe the city officials need to go back and look at the ideas of our founding fathers, how they felt that, things should be done.
And while passing yourself a pay raise isn't the same as passing yourself an early pension, Deedy and Vatz say the public perception is the same.
The public perception is you have public officials trying to enrich themselves. And that is a bad perception.
The bill will likely be brought to Mayor Brandon Scott's desk on Monday. He has yet to say if he'll sign or decline.
I think Mayor Scott needs to veto this. It's not going to look good when you change the law to benefit the people around you.
Now, this bill is also drawing backlash from first responders. Both Baltimore City's police and fire unions, they're outraged, quick to point out that 12 years ago, the city pushed back their pension plans from 20 years of service to 25 years of service. So if this bill does pass, they say they want that switched back immediately. Reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Rebecca. This pension bill was introduced by Council President Nick Mosby on the eve before voters overwhelmingly approved Question K. The council voted 9-2 to advance the bill. Council members Zeke Cohen and Ryan Dorsey voted against the measure. 3 members, Mark Conway, Eric Costello, and Felicia Porter, abstained from the vote. Now, here are the other 9 members who supported the bill. The bill now faces one more vote on Monday before heading to the mayor's desk. Mayor Brandon Scott has not publicly spoken out on the bill.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Is it fair for first responders to wait 25 years for a city pension while council members wait 8? So far, 98% of the people who voted say no. We would like to hear from you. Just go to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Click on the Pulse tab to weigh in.
Breaking news, we now know why Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby is asking the federal court to move her trial from Baltimore to Greenbelt. In a court filing unsealed today, Ms. Mosby's team argues there is too much ill will towards the prosecutor for her to receive a fair trial here. They say moving the case would provide a more fair jury pool. Prosecutors say the case would be special treatment.
Well, also breaking at this hour, Attorney General Merrick Garland announces he will appoint a special prosecutor to handle the criminal probes into former President Donald Trump.
I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint a special counsel. Such an appointment underscores the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
Well, Garland says this is because both Trump and President Joe Biden have announced their intention to run for president in 2024. The special prosecutor will handle the criminal probes into both the January 6th insurrection and Trump's handling of classified documents. And this hour, a Trump spokesman is providing a statement reading, "This is a totally expected political stunt by feckless, politicized, weaponized Biden Department of Justice."
Elected leaders say food stamp fraud is running rampant, how they're trying to crack down on the problem.
And night market organizers failed on the first go-around, but organizers say they're bringing it back, how they say they hope to avoid a repeat performance.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
There are certain missteps from us, in terms of logistics and execution, and there are a lot of things that went, out of our expectations. But I think we're learning from the past.
Well, those words from one of the organizers behind the embattled Asia Collective Night Festival in Howard County over the summer. It was a disaster. The same group is now planning another event to celebrate Asian culture.
Yeah, group leaders telling Fox 45 News it's learned from its mistakes and making some major changes for round 2. Amy Simpson joins us live with what we know about the Lunar Night Culture Festival scheduled for January. Amy?
Yeah, so instead of Howard County, this next event will be taking place here in Baltimore City. And as you just heard, organizers acknowledging the major logistical failures and mistakes from August, and both hoping and planning for a much different outcome this time around. Setup underway in Baltimore's Inner Harbor today for the Christmas Village. But by January, after the holiday season, another event is planned for this downtown spot, the Lunar Night Cultural Festival.
The focus is really on bringing authentic Asian culture, and Lunar New Year is one of the most celebrated holidays.
The event will be put on by F2 Entertainment and Baltimore's Waterfront Partnership. But some from around the region remember F2 Entertainment's last event, the Asia Collective Night Market in August of this year, which ended in frustration, a traffic nightmare for thousands, and Howard County Police saying the event would likely not be allowed back.
Kind of ended up that there was way too many tickets sold and it was way overcrowded.
But Yuman Gao with F2 Entertainment says lessons have been learned and major changes are being made for the next event after seeing the demand just a few months ago.
Trying to figure out, how can we improve?
The Lunar Night Cultural Festival in January will be spread out over 2 days, have both a ticketed and free portion, a much larger venue at the Inner Harbor, plenty of parking garages nearby, public transportation, and now working alongside the Waterfront Partnership. No stranger to event planning on a large scale.
Working with Waterfront, who's an expert in event production and logistics in general, so hopefully we can, to create that really cultural experience, immersive experience.
That just shows that there's a huge demand for these events.
On social media, some still reeling from the last event, commenting to say it was a disaster, or warning people not to buy tickets for the festival in January. But those planning the Lunar Night Cultural Festival looking to set the record straight this time around.
There's an incredible cultural opportunity that we get to experience here on the waterfront.
Come and learn about, Lunar New Year.
I think there are a lot more options for people to explore, and that will also help with the crowd control as well.
Tickets for the Lunar Festival in January tentatively set to go on sale sometime next month. Meanwhile, I'm told those who attended August's event in Howard County at the fairgrounds there were offered either a partial or full refund. Some of them offered an event credit towards the festival, like this one in January. Reporting live tonight, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
It has been a very cold start to the weekend, but it's only going to get colder, especially by Sunday. That's when it will be blustery. So for those heading to the Ravens game, you're going to want the layers. Right now, though, we sit in the mid-40s at 46 over Baltimore with a few clouds. Winds are variable at 3 miles per hour. It's not too breezy, and that is good news. The wind chill only coming in just a little bit lower than that actual temperature. We're seeing numbers in the 20s, 30s, and 40s across the state. La Plata at 49 is the high spot on the map. 40 in Hagerstown. They were dealing with a few flurries. And then we've got 43 in Westminster and Bel Air. So it is another cold day. And as we head into the night, it gets even colder as temperatures fall to the 20s and the 30s. We are looking at freezing conditions in the morning. So if you have anywhere to be, you will need to give your car some extra time to warm up. Now, here's what we're seeing on the HD radar. Just a few showers mainly to our north. But earlier, we actually picked up on a few flurries toward Hagerstown. As we head into the evening, there is the chance that some of these showers could spread toward the Baltimore area, and there could even be a few flurries in that mix. Now, this is a larger scale look at things. We've got this cold front moving across the region. We've got areas of snow to our north, including Buffalo, where they're dealing with lake effect snow, looking at several feet of snow by tomorrow. For us, we're not talking the winter-like precipitation, but we do have the winter-like temperatures headed our way. Notice this evening there's that chance for a few rain showers. Things do start to clear out and we stay mostly dry after midnight. We'll start the day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine, but those temperatures below freezing by 8 a.m. We reach the 30s and the 40s by the afternoon. It will be another cold day, and then the temperatures plummet by Sunday morning. We're talking the teens and the 20s. Then as we head into the afternoon, temperatures struggling to make it to 40 degrees. It's going to be windy as well, so it's a day when you will need the layers. We're talking wind chills near 30 degrees. Tonight, though, 29 for that low temperature. There's that chance for a few early showers, but clouds will clear and the rain clears after midnight. Then tomorrow, we're looking at plenty of sunshine as temperatures reach the mid-40s. That's still below average for this time of year, but we approach those record-breaking numbers on Sunday. 38 for the high temperature, 22 for the low, so we could tire break records for those numbers. For those heading to the Ravens game, plan for plenty of sunshine, but also have the layers ready. After that, we warm up, and by Thanksgiving, temperatures will be in the 50s. For Black Friday, there is the chance for a few showers. Back to you.
Fox 45 is your home for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The games kick off this Sunday at 4:30 p.m. and you can see all the action right here on Fox 45. Well, an update on a condo explosion in Gaithersburg. Why first responders now believe it may not have been an accident. And one fugitive is behind bars thanks to a viewer tip. Another accused of abusing a child is on the run. What you need to know in tonight's Maryland's Most Wanted. A Baltimore man is accused of raping a child, and a fugitive is now behind bars thanks to your tip. Alexa Ashwell has this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say he used his relationship with the child's mother to gain access to the now 14-year-old. This man, identified as Elmer Cortez Gonzalez, is wanted by the U.S. Marshal Service. He's been on the run for the past 2 months, and now federal agents need your help tracking him down. September 2022, a child and her mother go to the police to report a disturbing crime.
A 14-year-old girl came forward to Protective Services, and she explained that a friend of her mother's had been molesting her for a period of years.
Officials identified the friend as Elmer Cortez Gonzalez. They say the sexual abuse began 4 years ago when the child was just 10 years old and would occur in a home in the Lakeland community of Southwest Baltimore.
He was using his relationship with the mother to make sure he can get her a loan so he can carry out his deeds.
Grooming and ultimately victimizing the child, officials say. Al Maresca is a deputy marshal with the U.S. Marshal Service. He says agents believe Cortez Gonzalez is still in the Baltimore region and likely receiving help from family or friends.
Individuals like this, they're very good at building trust, and ultimately, they can convince you that they're innocent.
Maresca calling Cortez Gonzalez a sexual predator who must be taken off the streets.
They're very good at manipulation. If someone can convince you to leave their daughter with them over a prolonged period of time and then look you right in the eye and then betray you, there's no telling what they'll do to the general public.
Take a good look. 37-year-old Cortez Gonzalez stands at about 5'6" and weighs approximately 145 pounds. If you have any information into his whereabouts, here's the tip line number, 1-877-WANTED-2. Or you can contact agents directly. The number right here, 202-819-5058. An update on a Baltimore man wanted for the rape of a 12-year-old girl. After nearly 2 years on the run, Alex Bennett is now in custody. Bennett was featured on Maryland's Most Wanted back in August. Officials say they received a tip about Bennett, who was staying in a group home in Baltimore County. He was arrested there and will soon face a judge. If you recognize any of the fugitives on our board, remember, you can always remain anonymous and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
2 Baltimore area mothers were robbed of hundreds of dollars of government assistance. How elected leaders are trying to give them back what they lost.
San Francisco launching the latest guaranteed income program. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
please consider giving us what was stolen. Know that we all have been put in a horrible position. It just really sucks.
Like I said, I use that to take care of me and my 3 kids, and so it's been hard.
Two really tough stories. Those words from 2 Baltimore area mothers this year after telling Fox 45 News they each had hundreds of dollars in benefits stolen from or by fraudsters. But tonight, a glimmer of hope for some victims in Maryland who've been told for months that stolen benefits would not be replaced. Fox 45's Amy Simpson is live with the latest. And Amy, you covered these stories. It was heartbreaking to hear them, too.
Kai, it really is heartbreaking, really tough stuff here. But as you said, fraudsters have been skimming debit cards, EBT cards, used to distribute either food stamps or temporary cash assistance benefits. And now a local congressman is taking some action, hoping to help at least the SNAP benefits to start get those benefits replaced when they're stolen by criminal activity. This week, it was Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger who introduced the SNAP Theft Protection Act of 2022 in Washington. The bill calls to allow states across the country to use their federal funds to reimburse any of those stolen SNAP benefits. He says it would not require any new spending, just allow states to use their already existing allocations for the food stamp program. For months, though, victims have been out of luck, out of hundreds of dollars often, as they rely on each month to buy food for their families. And the state has said it's unable to reimburse stolen benefits, instead redirecting victims to emergency resources like rental assistance or local food banks.
So, Amy, we know this criminal activity targets vulnerable populations like the elderly, disabled, and even families with young children. But what are we learning about the extent of this fraud in Maryland? Like, how widespread is it?
Yeah, so Kai, we've known it's been not good for several months now, just based off of the calls and messages that we get into our newsroom. I know just from our call records, we got at least 2 calls about this yesterday, another one already this morning. But according to Congressman Ruppersberger, Maryland families have had more than $1 million in SNAP benefits stolen just this year so far in 2022. We'll keep you posted as we track this legislation. Reporting live tonight, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. The likely future chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Republican Congressman James Comer, says the party won't be asking President Biden to testify, even though they're investigating his potential involvement in his son's foreign business dealings.
There's no plans to subpoena Joe Biden. There are plans to subpoena Hunter Biden.
Why then would you not subpoena Joe Biden if this is all about Joe Biden? Well,
it's complicated to subpoena a president of the United States.
But it has been done.
It has been done, and the Democrats sent out subpoenas like junk mail, and that's why it's hard to get people to come in.
The Justice Department maintains the sitting president can't be compelled to appear in court. House Republicans claim they have evidence of conspiracy, fraud, money laundering, tax evasion, and other crimes committed by Hunter Biden. Some Republicans claim President Biden knew all along. Hunter Biden and President Biden deny any wrongdoing.
And Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner is facing removal from office as crime surges in the city. The Republican-led Pennsylvania House of Representatives voted to impeach Krasner Wednesday. He was accused of potential dereliction of duty in addressing the city's gun violence. He has called the claims baseless.
Philadelphia had the in the history of the city, there has never been more yearly homicides than there was last year. I think once we move forward and if the Senate decides to impeach DA Krasner, conditions in the city will hopefully improve dramatically.
Krasner says no evidence has been presented connecting his office's policies to any uptick in crime. The matter will now go to the Pennsylvania Senate, where support from Senate Democrats is unlikely. The White House is planning to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to reinstate President Biden's student debt cancellation plan. That's according to a legal filing warning Americans who face severe hardship if the plan continues to be stalled in federal courts. Biden's plan promises $10,000 in debt forgiveness to people earning less than $125,000. Pell Grant recipients are eligible for $20,000.
An effort by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to restrict certain race-based conversations in colleges is blocked by a federal judge. The Tallahassee district judge has issued a temporary injunction against the, quote, Stop Woke Act, calling it positively dystopian. The law bans practices that deem one ethnic group inherently racist and the notion that someone can be privileged or oppressed based on their race or gender. DeSantis argues the law combats woke ideology, thinking about the United States through the lens of racism. Well, the judge says it's an attempt to muzzle professors.
Well, Maryland officials plan an evening press conference to provide more information about a deadly condo explosion. The blast and fire rattled a Gaithersburg neighborhood Wednesday morning. A body was found in the rubble on Thursday. Now, police have opened a criminal investigation into this explosion, which may have been an intentional act. Officials stress the probe is in its very early stages and could take some time. At least 10 people were initially sent to the hospital, with 2 suffering traumatic injuries.
The autopsies of 4 Idaho University students found dead inside of a rental house have confirmed they died of stab wounds. Now, the murders have rocked the small college town of Moscow in Idaho's Panhandle. 2 other people were in the large rental home at the time of the murders, but it is unclear if they heard anything. Police walked back earlier statements and now say they don't know if there's a threat to the wider community. They do say evidence suggests the students were targeted, but it's still not clear, and there's no suspect or murder weapon.
Everybody kind of just went back home because they're scared. There's no perp caught or anything, so it's definitely uneasy on campus right now.
Well, the University of Idaho has remained open for students who want to grieve together, but campus leaders are also allowing students to leave early for Thanksgiving.
Well, analysts say Twitter is unlikely to go down all at once, but could suffer numerous outages over the coming weeks. New Twitter CEO Elon Musk gave employees an ultimatum: embrace a grueling schedule to remake the company or resign. Many reportedly chose the latter, and reports of glitches are already popping up, including issues with 2-factor authentication, leaving users at risk of getting hacked. The Justice Department has opened an antitrust investigation into Ticketmaster, according to the New York Times. This comes after nationwide anger and chaos related to the sale of Taylor Swift concert tickets. The report states the probe will focus on whether Live Nation Entertainment has abused its power over the music industry. Making headlines, San Francisco is launching the latest in a string of guaranteed income programs we're hearing about from around the country, including here in Baltimore. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins reports from Washington.
San Francisco's transgender residents receiving a gift from the city. 55 eligible residents receiving $1,200 a month for 18 months under a program called the Guaranteed Income for Trans People, or GIFT. Cities across the U.S. are experimenting with guaranteed income projects, some under the umbrella of pandemic relief. The city of Baltimore, for example, paying would-be criminals $375 a month if they don't shoot anyone.
In order to incentivize folks and to provide them with opportunities to advance in their lives.
I don't care if you give them $3,000. That does not resolve the issue.
Denver giving $12,000 a year to homeless individuals. New York State, St. Paul, Minnesota, and San Francisco providing no strings attached monthly income for artists. San Francisco says their new transgender program is a way to address poverty, citing a 2015 study that found a third of trans people live below the poverty line. That's more than double the rate of the general population. GIFT is San Francisco's third guaranteed income project for marginalized populations in recent years. Critics argue there's no evidence guaranteed income programs work.
In terms of other goals like improving opportunity or reducing crime rates, things of that nature, we really don't have any effective results to tell us one way or the other.
With the lack of data showing these programs actually address root problems, the former director of Maryland's juvenile justice program going so far as to call Baltimore's payments to would-be criminals a, quote, great insult. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Right now, Mayor Brandon Scott also launched a guaranteed income program earlier this year. City tax dollars are paying 200 parents $1,000 every month for 2 years with no strings attached. Now, those parents must have been at or below 300% of the poverty level to qualify. A taxpayer protection watchdog says programs like this should be heavily monitored.
When looking at giving money to people for no other purpose than giving them money,
it really does reek of socialism and really the government just expanding its scope and power over people.
Right now, the mayor is proposing another income program, this time for squeegee kids, called Earn and Learn. This would not be guaranteed income, but instead pay them to stay out of intersections and stay enrolled in educational or workforce training. Mayor Scott has not said how much this would be, but advocates say this doesn't address the root cause of the issue.
Children don't set the standards for adults. Adults set the standards for children. We don't pay children not to be bad. We show them how not to be bad.
If you're preparing for travel for Thanksgiving, the TSA wants you to be ready for long lines and busy airports. More coming up in just a moment.
I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. The big business headlines this month: layoffs, layoffs, layoffs. What 2023 could look like and what you need to do right now.
Thousands of Americans are going into the weekend facing the strong possibility that next week could bring a pink slip. Angela Brown of the National Desk reports high-profile companies like Amazon are announcing layoffs, and Amazon isn't alone.
The headlines are eye-popping. Challenger, Gray, and Christmas says job cuts increased by 13% from September to October. Moving into November, some of the biggest cuts coming from companies you may use every single day. The headlines this month: a graveyard of layoffs and hiring freezes. Take Twitter, slashing staff. Disney putting hiring on ice. And Amazon delivering roughly 10,000 layoffs. Financial experts say Amazon needed to do it.
It's rare that you would see Amazon overhire, overbuild. This was one of those rare opportunities or rare occurrences where that happened, but it did happen, and they're having to adjust.
Amazon's cuts could be the canary in the coal mine. Take the tech industry. Layoffs, FYI, says over 42,000 tech layoffs, and that's just November. Even mega billionaire Jeff Bezos warning to take risk off the table.
The economy does not look great right now. Things are slowing down. You're seeing layoffs in many sectors of the economy. People are slowing down.
A recent KPM survey found roughly 50% of U.S. CEOs are considering job cuts. Career strategist Julie Balke says the worst thing you can do is bury your head in the sand.
To trick yourself or tell yourself they can't live without me, because they can.
Right now, it's a workers' market. Over 10 million jobs open. Balke says prepare now before the pink slip.
We call it your communication strategy. It's 3 parts: your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and you have to be ready to answer 3 core questions. Why are you not at your last job? Tell me about yourself. And what do you want to do next?
When you look at Amazon, 10,000 cuts, that's a lot. But Amazon is a big company, and that number represents less than 1% of its global workforce. The CEO saying layoffs will continue into next year. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
The cold weather continues. That's been the big story all week long, but this weekend it's going to get even worse. And by Sunday, we could be looking at record-breaking low temperatures. Right now, we sit at 46, likely the highest temperature we'll have this entire weekend. Outside, we've got partly cloudy skies, and winds are pretty light right now. So because of that, not much of a wind chill. That's good news. Across the rest of the state, temperatures are in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. La Plata is the high spot right now at 49. As we look west, we've got the 30s and the 20s, and actually Oakland right now dealing with some snow, looking at a snow squall warning. Overnight, low temperatures fall to the 20s and 30s for most of us, so that means a freeze is likely as you head out in the morning. If you're going anywhere early, you will want to give your car some extra time to warm up. Now, right now, we are looking at a couple of showers on the HD radar. What we're seeing is mainly light rain, and this will continue off and on into the evening. There could even be a few flurries mixed in. We already saw that in Hagerstown a little bit earlier, Ron. And it's all ahead of this larger system. We're keeping watch on this cold front that's moving across the East Coast. Areas to our north are dealing with snow, a lot of that lake effect snow. But for us, again, mostly dry after we deal with that front. So there's that chance for a couple of stray showers this evening. Then we do dry out after midnight and the clouds clear. We'll wake up to plenty of sunshine, but cold temperatures to start the day. By the afternoon, we reach the low to mid 40s. Then overnight into Sunday, it's going to be another cold one. Again, we start with plenty of sunshine for your Sunday morning, but by the afternoon, those temperatures are only reaching the mid to upper 30s. So that could actually break a record for the lowest high temperature on Sunday. Overnight, it'll get even colder. It's also going to be pretty windy, so if you have plans to go to the Ravens game, you will want all of the layers. 29 for the low temperature. There is that chance for early showers, but the clouds and the rain clear after midnight. Then we're looking at plenty of sunshine as high temperatures reach the mid 40s tomorrow, still below average, and that low trend continues into Sunday. 38 for the low temperature. If you're not going to the game, of course, you can watch it on Fox 45. Then on Monday, temperatures are back on an upward trend. We're in the 40s, 50s as we head into Tuesday, upper 50s on Wednesday. Then on Thursday for Thanksgiving, temperatures will be around 53, and there is the chance for a few showers overnight. The rain, unfortunately, continues into Black Friday, but temperatures as we enter the weekend stay in the 50s. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Well, the TSA is offering tips for Thanksgiving travelers.
Be prepared. Get to the airports early and get here prepared for your travel experience. And when I say early, please arrive to the airport at least 2 hours prior to your departure time. That will assist in getting things ready for your divesting through our checkpoint, getting through the travel document checker, and being prepared to divest all your property onto our X-ray equipment.
Well, the agency predicts travel will increase significantly and could be near pre-pandemic levels. The TSA is also releasing recommendations if you plan to fly with food, as many people probably will. If the meal is larger than 3.4 ounces, put it in your checked luggage. If you need to keep the food cold, ice packs are permissible, but it must be frozen solid when you go through security. Baked goods like meats, turkey, ham, and cooked and uncooked stuffing are okay to bring on board. Now, some foods to avoid: anything liquid like cranberry sauce, homemade gravy, and wine. You can find a full list of recommendations on the What Can I Bring section of TSA.gov. Now, if you're driving somewhere, there's good news. Gas prices are falling. AAA says nationwide, gas prices declined 3 cents in the past week to $3.70 a gallon. Gas is 29 cents more now than it was a year ago. Now, here in Maryland, you'll pay an average of $3.67 a gallon, 9 cents down from a week ago, but up 32 cents from last year. Coming up at 5 o'clock on Fox 45, another barrier for Johns Hopkins and its effort to establish an armed police force. What we know about the case going to court.
A warning from the FBI director, what we know about an investigation into drones carrying homemade bombs within the U.S.
Developing right now, the FBI director says the agency is investigating cases in the U.S. of drones with bombs. Dee Gatton has more on the investigation.
Now, this is just one of many drones that are becoming increasingly popular. It's so easy to go online and find out how to use them. Experts tell me they're not surprised by the FBI director's announcement, and some say if nothing is done, they could pose a domestic terrorism threat.
You can get those drones from market, right? I mean, you just need the explosive material.
Dr. Mustafa Hassanelia is a drone expert and professor at New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. He's not surprised by the FBI director's news today.
We're investigating, even as we speak, several incidents within the U.S. of attempts to weaponize drones with homemade IEDs.
FBI Director Christopher Wray said potential drone risk has increased with the rapid advancement of technology.
This is also a future concern of the concept of the advanced air mobility, which, for example, we now see that Amazon wants to use drones for delivery. We want to integrate drones to our cities for multiple applications that they want to have. So here the cybersecurity is another aspect of this.
An aspect Hassanelia says needs to be explored and prioritized to prevent unwanted drones in the air.
I believe that this is a threat, and I think there needs for more research to design some anti-predator, anti-drone systems.
More immediately, the FBI director urging Congress to act to expand authority to counter these drones from big events like the Super Bowl.
And that is the future that is here now, and this authority desperately needs to be reauthorized.
Right now, federal law enforcement officers can block drones from flying near certain events. That expires next month. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Dee Gatton.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, Baltimore police are investigating after they say a group of men broke into a Little Italy business. New developments tonight in the case of a squeegee kid accused of killing a Baltimore driver. Why the victim's family is fighting against a move by City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. New developments tonight in the case of the squeegee kid accused of killing a Baltimore driver. Why the victim's family is fighting against a move by City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
And another barrier for Johns Hopkins in its efforts to establish an armed police force. What we know about the case going to court.
And you're looking live at conditions outside right now. It's a chilly Friday, and apparently, Jasmine tells us it's going to get colder.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. Fox 45 News is on top of three big stories right now. A lifetime pension for a part-time job. We continue to demand accountability ahead of a Monday vote by the Baltimore City Council to shorten how long they would have to serve in order to receive a pension.
Guns in city schools and in the hands of young people. Tonight, we're demanding accountability from elected leaders on their work to take guns off the streets.
And a day after Timothy Reynolds' accused killer is ordered to remain in adult court, Reynolds' family makes a new demand. Why they want the original prosecutor in the case to be reinstated.
I think we know what this is really about. Rita and the detectives were willing to fight for justice. They were willing to fight for the Reynolds family, and Marilyn Mosby wanted them to roll over.
We have live team coverage of these big stories.
Let's begin with Mackenzie Frost and the new developments in the Timothy Reynolds case. Mackenzie?
Guy and Maxine, Rita Wistoff-Ito has worked in the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office for a decade, and she was handling the murder case of Timothy Reynolds right up until Marilyn Mosby stripped her of the case earlier this week, accusing the prosecutor of leaking information. But now the Reynolds family is pushing back and demanding this prosecutor be reinstated. The already embattled state's attorney's office working with the skeleton staff facing more criticism, this time from a victim's family.
This is so ridiculous.
Prosecutor Rita Wistoff-Ito pulled from the Timothy Reynolds case. Reynolds gunned down at the Inner Harbor intersection of Light and Conway in July. A teenage squeegee kid facing first-degree murder charges. Wistoff-Ito accused of leaking these images to the victim's family's attorney. The images included in court filings showing the suspect captured on CCTV video, grabbing this backpack with the gun police say was used to kill Reynolds. When the images were made public, Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby pulled Wistoff-Ito from the case and took the other homicide cases away from her too.
Rita, God bless her, had the courage and integrity to say, I'm not going to do your dirty work. I'm going to stand up for the victim.
Dhruv Vignarajah, the attorney representing the Reynolds family as the criminal case plays out, says not only is Mosby wrong for doing what she did, but Wistoff-Ito had the legal obligation to hand over the information.
She did the right thing and was punished for it.
Pointing to this Maryland statute that says the attorney for the victim or victim's representative get copies of all records. After an hours-long hearing in a courthouse the media was kicked out of, the judge rejected a plea deal keeping the case in the adult court system, something the Reynolds family says they are grateful for and give credit to the original prosecutor.
Rita put herself on the line for us to make sure that the truth and that justice was done, and we are so grateful for all of that. We're so grateful.
The same one Mosby pulled from the case and now is no longer handling any homicide case.
She is morally, constitutionally, and legally required to do so. I really hope she wakes up and realizes that this is about more than just her and her private interests. It's about the city and public safety.
In a city with a growing tally of killings in a prosecutor's office, hemorrhaging staff members. Now, I asked Marilyn Mosby's office if Rita Wistoff-Ito would be reinstated in this case and if the public would have an explanation about what happened. Mosby's office ignoring those questions. We're live in Baltimore. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. A big question remains is where the gun in this case came from in the first place. The defense tells Fox 45 News guns are everywhere and they're easily accessible. Alexa Ashwell dug further into the issue and joins us live with what she's learned about this. Alexa?
Yeah, Kai, Baltimore police say they've seized more than 4,000 guns over the past 2 years, yet we continue to see a shooting nearly every day. Experts say there are a number of factors at play.
The shooting death of Timothy Reynolds, police say, at the hands of a squeegee kid, begs the question where and how the young teen got it.
No, I don't. And you know, I've been asked that so much. And you know, there's so many guns out here until it's like asking him where did he get his cell phone.
It's a troubling reality even the mayor won't dispute.
The prevalence of illegal guns in this city is overwhelming.
To date, the Baltimore Police Department says officers have seized 2,245 guns. That's 226 more than this time last year. And it's not just on the streets of Baltimore. Guns are being found on students in city schools. Last year, city schools police seized a record 15 guns. And now, just 3 months into the school year, the department has already seized nearly half of that record number, with the 7th gun found on an elementary middle school student earlier this week. So are more guns flowing into Baltimore, or are police simply getting better at getting them off the streets?
There's no doubt about it. The Baltimore City Police Department have been collecting a lot of guns off the streets of Baltimore City, more so recently than they have in the past. They've increased their interaction.
Yet the problem persists. Law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers says ensuring consequence is key, speaking to the new and incoming Baltimore City State's Attorney, Ivan Bates.
The guns keep flowing back in, and repeat offenders keep committing crimes and having guns flow back in. So if you are Mr. Bates and you're coming into office, you're going to accept any and all help you can get, including this Al Capone model of dramatically reducing crime. You're going to work intimately with federal prosecutors.
Now, the mayor also spoke to the need for more accountability after an arrest, specifically mentioning Ivan Bates. Reporting live in Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Well, tonight, Baltimore City Council is one vote away from shortening the amount of time it takes for them to earn a pension. If it becomes law, it would mean lifetime benefits for part-time work. Today, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor is asking the public and political experts to weigh in on the perception problems that this vote is creating. Rebecca?
Yeah, Maxine, many of those that I spoke with today, they say that the perception of this plan is that city officials are trying to pass themselves a pay raise. It's a concept that political experts are quick to point out goes against our Constitution.
They don't do the work. It's not fair at all.
Baltimore residents quick to speak out against the fast-tracked bill aimed at lowering the number of years Baltimore city leaders must work to earn a pension. Currently, they must serve 12 years, but this bill would bump that down to 8. City Council President Nick Mosby arguing it's necessary after Baltimore City voters overwhelmingly passed Question K on Election Day, establishing 8-year term limits for locally elected officials. But voters we spoke with say it seems like city officials care more about making money than making the city a better place.
It feels like they only worried about money, and that's all they talk about.
Political experts also weighing in.
This is awful optics.
I think they ought to be embarrassed.
Professors Richard Vatz and John Deedy pointing to the U.S. Constitution, specifically the 27th Amendment, which reads, no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall intervene. This means that although Congress can change its salary at any time, the new salary can't take effect until a general election has taken place.
The theory is that you're not supposed to vote on compensation that affects you.
I think that maybe the city officials need to go back and look at the ideas of our founding fathers, how they felt that, things should be done.
And while passing yourself a pay raise isn't the same as passing yourself an early pension, Deedy and Vatz say the public perception is the same.
The public perception is you have public officials trying to enrich themselves. And that is a bad perception.
The bill will likely be brought to Mayor Brandon Scott's desk on Monday. He has yet to say if he'll sign or decline.
I think Mayor Scott needs to veto this. It's not going to look good when you change the law to benefit the people around you.
Now, this bill is also drawing backlash from first responders. Both the Baltimore City Police Union and the Fire Union, they're outraged. They're pointing out that about 12 years ago, the city pushed back their pension plans going from 20 years to 25 years of service. So if this bill were to pass, they say they want that switched back immediately. Reporting live from City Hall, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, this pension bill was introduced by Council President Nick Mosby on the eve before voters overwhelmingly approved Question K. The council voted 9-2 to advance the bill. Zeke Cohen and Ryan Dorsey, they voted against this measure. And then 3 members, Mark Conway, Eric Costello, and Felicia Porter, abstained from the vote. And then here are the 9 other members who supported that bill. It now faces one more vote on Monday before heading to the mayor's desk. The mayor has not publicly spoken out on the bill. That brings us now to our question of the day. Is it fair for first responders to wait 25 years for a city pension while council members have to wait 8? So far, 98% of the people who voted say no. We would like to hear what you think. Go to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Click on the Pulse tab to weigh in.
In newly unsealed court filings, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby is trying to get her federal trial moved out of Baltimore. Mosby's team argues the prosecutor would not be able to get a fair trial in Baltimore, citing jury questionnaires from September when her trial was scheduled to begin before getting postponed. Now Ms. Mosby and her team want the trial to be held in Greenbelt, Prince George's County, pulling jurors from suburban D.C. Federal prosecutors argue moving the trial would be special treatment, saying the unusual selection process or the usual selection process is enough to weed out potentially biased jurors.
Taking a look around the northern part of the country as a winter storm is expected to dump feet of snow on Buffalo, New York this weekend.
It's a whiteout in western New York. Take a look right now at lake effect snow blanketing much of that region. Some areas could see 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour in the days ahead. The lake effect snow warning extends through Sunday evening, and many communities will receive several feet of snow before all is done. Officials are trying to keep the roads clear, and people are being asked to stay home unless it's necessary to be out. Well, fortunately, we're not seeing any snow in this area, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah, that looks awful, doesn't it?
It does.
No, it
It's
looks beautiful.
See, Jasmine likes that.
It does look beautiful, but it looks cold, and I don't like the cold.
Yeah, well, you know, it's actually not like crazy cold there. Their temperatures right now at 30 degrees, so we'll only be slightly above that number on Sunday. So yeah, it's cold there, but it's also going to be very cold here this weekend. Now, right now, we've got temperatures in the 40s, so not too bad, but get ready for a cool down. We've got a cold front moving across the region. You can see all of those areas in blue. Many parts of the country dealing with snow right now, including western Maryland, where a snow squall warning is in place. We are keeping track of a little bit of light rain moving over the Baltimore area, and at times there could be a few flurries mixed in with that, but we dry out for the rest of the weekend. I'll let you know what to expect and how low those temperatures get coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. A court date has been set as plans for Johns Hopkins to create its own police force receives backlash. And RSV is sweeping through the country and putting the smallest children in danger. How the illness rapidly progresses. And breaking news as police reveal the condo explosion that shook Gaithersburg was no accident. We'll have a live report next.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Breaking news to report right now. Attorney General Merrick Garland announces that he'll appoint a special prosecutor to handle the criminal probes into former President Donald Trump.
I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint a special counsel. Such an appointment underscores the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
Well, Garland says this is because both Trump and President Biden have announced their intentions to run for president in 2024. The special prosecutor will handle the criminal probes into both the January 6th insurrection and Trump's handling of classified documents. A Trump spokesperson is providing a statement reading, "This is a totally expected political stunt by a feckless, politicized, weaponized Biden Department of Justice," end quote. New details about that explosion at a Gaithersburg condo complex.
Police and fire officials just wrapping up a news conference where they're now linking the fire and explosion to a suicide.
Kevin Lewis with our Sinclair sister station is live in the area right now with new developments. Kevin?
Yeah, the man who took his own life, that is the person whose body they found here yesterday. That man identified as 36-year-old Juan Pablo Marshall Quizan of Rockville. He works in the scrap metal business and had purchased this condo, according to Montgomery County land records, back in August. The strange thing is his loved ones had no idea he had purchased this condo unit here in Gaithersburg. And so 3 hours after the explosion rocked this community on Wednesday morning, Mr. Quizan's loved ones called Montgomery County Police to report him missing. Again, 3 hours after the explosion, having no idea that he owned property here. According to the medical examiner, Quizan died from smoke inhalation and thermal injuries. Witness statements and evidence, including a suicide note, support the ruling of suicide. Here now is the police chief.
From a cumulative standpoint, that we were putting pieces of this puzzle together to try to determine, again, what was the nature behind this particular incident. And so, again, with all of the information that we've gathered, to include, most importantly, witness statements in regards to Mr. Quizan's mental status and mental well-being, this is why it draws us to this conclusion.
The chief went on to say that his department had no prior interactions with Quizan, and they say that this remains a criminal investigation because if he was still alive, they would be charging him with crimes because of all the property damage and the 10 people that were sent to the hospital. Some good news to pass along. All 10 of those individuals have been released from the hospital and their conditions are improving. And there's a donation fund for all of the residents here that were displaced. That fund has accumulated $62,000 over 3 days. We're live in Gaithersburg. I'm Kevin Lewis, Fox 45 News.
Kevin, thank you. Be the first to know about breaking news by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on Mobile Alert Sign Up under the Station tab. Maxine, Thanksgiving, less than a week away, and there's an effort in our area to make sure families in need have food to celebrate.
Yeah, Be More lifestyle host Mark Clark previews the community giveaway in East Baltimore happening tomorrow.
And it's all about giving. We're with Pastor Keisha Jones and Wes. And Pastor Jones, good things going on this afternoon.
Absolutely. The Give Fest is tomorrow, Saturday, November 19th at 10 to 12 p.m. And we're just here setting up, and I have Wes here from First Fruits Farm. And First Fruits Farm has been partnering with us for the past 6 years of the Give Fest. Wes, tell us why you've come and to help out with hunger in Baltimore.
We couldn't be more blessed. When Keisha called 6 years ago to be a part of this ministry and the outreach to the food securities just in the neighborhoods, we couldn't jump at the chance to be a real part of that. First Fruits Farm, we give around 2.4 million pounds of vegetables every year, and this is just part of coming together and being a service and uplifting the Lord, and this is what it's all about. And we just are very, very humbled to be here.
Pastor Jones, are you seeing more people in need this year?
Absolutely. I think because of COVID and unemployment and the prices are rising in our grocery stores, I think that families are trying to make a decision, especially our seniors, of whether to purchase their prescriptions or purchase food for their families. And we just didn't want that to be an issue for this major holiday. So we've partnered with various organizations around the community to help stamp out hunger and food insecurities and food deserts throughout Baltimore.
It's all about giving during the holidays, and this is just again, a great moment where people are giving back in the community. Mark Clark, Fox 45 News.
Well, the Gibbs Fest is happening tomorrow from 10 until noon at Loch Raven United Methodist Church. In addition to Thanksgiving food, families can also get fresh produce. To find out more, go to foxbaltimore.com/newslinks. Jasmine?
Well, we are getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and the good news is that we are talking warmer temperatures, but first we have to get through a very cold weekend. Right now, our temperatures sit at 45 with mostly cloudy skies over Baltimore. Our winds are out of the west-southwest at 14 miles per hour, so it is breezy, and our wind chill is now down to 39 degrees. Across the state, temperatures are in the 20s, 30s, and the 40s. It's getting colder, especially when you factor in the winds. It feels much colder than those actual temperatures. Overnight, it does get worse as the temperatures fall to the 20s and the 30s. We're talking below freezing temperatures waking up tomorrow morning. If you have anywhere to be early in the day, just make sure to give your car some extra time to heat up. We're also keeping track of a couple of rain showers across parts of Maryland. We've actually seen a few flurries toward Hagerstown coming up on the radar. There's the chance, a slim chance for a few flurries mixing in with that rain, but most of us just dealing with those isolated showers. As we head into the rest of the night, though, we do start to see that cool down. Now, on the HD radar, here's a larger look of the region. We've got snow to our north, and we're keeping track of this cold front. Behind it will usher in some cooler temperatures, but the big cool down does come on Sunday. Notice a few showers pass over the region as we head into the evening and early night, but after midnight, we stay nice and dry. The clouds clear and we'll wake up to plenty of sunshine in the morning, but the temperatures will be on the cold side. Then as we head into the afternoon, we reach the 40s once again, but it gets colder for Sunday. Temperatures start off in the 20s. Then by the afternoon, those numbers are only reaching the mid to upper 30s, barely making it to 40, and it's going to feel even colder, especially with the breezy conditions factored in. 29 for the low temperature with gradual clearing, then 45 for the high temperature tomorrow. We're in for lower numbers, 38 on Sunday, but after that, it's back to a warm trend. 47 on Monday with plenty of sunshine. Then we're in the 50s on Tuesday. 57 will be the high temperature for the week, followed by 53 on Thanksgiving. We stay mostly dry, but there is the chance for a few showers overnight. And unfortunately, that rain continues into Black Friday. Back to you.
Legal trouble for Ticketmaster after the botched sale of Taylor Swift concert tickets. Looking at how things got so bad coming up. And night market organizers pledging to do better after an epic failure this summer. Where and when the next event is being planned and how we're told things will be different this time. And as hospital rooms across the nation continue to see children being infected with RSV, we're putting a face to one of those children. After the break, the story of a baby, Laura, fighting for her life. Tonight, hospitals around the nation continue to deal with the rise in RSV cases. It's a respiratory illness affecting mostly children. One of those is baby Laura, currently on life support. Rich Rodriguez with our Sinclair sister station in Fresno has Laura's story.
Baby Laura Prieto Ramirez was a happy-go-lucky little girl until 9 days ago. Last weekend, her parents sought medical help, and she wound up at Valley Children's Hospital. She has RSV, a virus that invades the respiratory system.
The nurses and doctors are pretty worried. They keep doing x-rays of her chest just to kind of see every day how she's doing better. But unfortunately, every day it's looking worse.
Balboa says doctors had to resuscitate baby Laura twice last weekend.
She's on a ventilator, so she's on life support right now, and she's on a G-tube, so RSV is really taking over her body, which is really hard for her parents.
Baby Laura's parents are away from their jobs, plus they have other children that need supervision. Balboa started a GoFundMe account to help her cousin.
I created it just to kind of help them with all the financial burden that comes with this. So, from bills, so that way they can be at the hospital with them.
Right now, family members in Sanger spend their free time praying.
So she's a little chubby, cute little thing, and so full of life. So to see her on a machine, really just having a hard time, it's really sad.
They're sad, but still full of hope. Baby Laura will recover. Rich Rodriguez, Fox 26 News.
The head of the FBI weighing in on one of the factors behind a rise in violent crime in the state of Georgia. I'm Atrell Nashar with what it could mean for the rest of the country.
An investigation is underway after Baltimore police say a group of men broke into a beloved Little Italy business overnight, leaving damage behind. And after an Asian food festival flopped this summer in Howard County, the organizers are planning another event in Baltimore, and they're working with the city. Why the group says Baltimore residents shouldn't worry. Happening right now, the holiday season has arrived at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. Zoo Lights is returning for the season from now through January 1st. Animals at the zoo will come alive in the form of lights, and after 3 years of the pandemic, visitors can now walk through the exhibition instead of driving through. Thanks so much for staying with us. It's 5:30. I'm Maxine Stryker. And
I'm Kai Jackson. You know, it is feeling a lot like winter out there tonight. You're looking live at the Inner Harbor, and despite the cold weather, folks are out enjoying the ice rink because it's cold enough now. We don't have any rain. But this is not necessarily good news because it's going to get colder. Well, meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is here now with a quick check of the forecast. Jasmine?
Yeah, it's been so bad this past week. Just to think, at the beginning of the month, we were in the 80s, and now we've got below average temperatures in the 40s. Our high temperatures will only be in the 30s, though, by Sunday. Now, we're keeping watch on this cold front that's moving across parts of the state and across the region, really. To our north, there is a lot of snow. Many areas dealing with lake effect snow, especially New York. Here, though, we are seeing just a little bit of drizzle, and now you can actually see a little bit of flurries starting to mix into that, especially closer to the state line. So right now, Westminster possibly picking up on a few flurries, but we don't expect any accumulation with that. Temperatures are in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, but the numbers get even lower this weekend. I'll let you know what to expect coming up in my Weather Authority forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Well, there are warming centers open in our area. We have compiled a list for you with the free WBFF Weather Authority app. Just go to your app store and search for WBFF to get started.
Making headlines right now, Baltimore police are investigating damage to a Little Italy business. Police say 4 men threw a rock through the front door at Vaccaro's Italian pastry shop overnight. They say the men broke the glass to get inside and burglarize the business. The damage has already been repaired, and there's no word of any arrests at this time. And the groups opposing the formation of a police force at Johns Hopkins University will get their day in court. The circuit court has set a date for the first hearing in the case for December 19th. 3 Baltimore residents who live in the area filed the suit. Those against the plans are concerned about over-policing. Johns Hopkins says the police force is needed to address crime around its campus.
There are certain missteps from us, in terms of logistics and execution, and there are a lot of things that went, out of our expectations. But I think we're learning from the past.
Those words from one of the organizers behind the embattled Asia Collective Night Festival in Howard County over the summer. Yeah, and that same group is now planning another event to celebrate Asian culture. Group leaders are telling Fox 45 News it's learned from the mistakes and making major changes for round 2. Amy Simpson joins us live with what we know about the Lunar Night Cultural Festival scheduled for January. Amy?
Yeah, so instead of Howard County, this next event will be taking place here in Baltimore City, and event organizers are acknowledging, as you just heard, the logistical failures and mistakes that happened in August, and now hoping and planning for a much different outcome this time around.
Setup underway in Baltimore's Inner Harbor today for the Christmas Village. But by January, after the holiday season, another event is planned for this downtown spot, the Lunar Night Cultural Festival.
The focus is really on bringing authentic Asian culture, and Lunar New Year is one of the most celebrated holidays.
The event will be put on by F2 Entertainment and Baltimore's Waterfront Partnership. But some from around the region remember F2 Entertainment's last event, the Asia Collective Night Market in August of this year, which ended in frustration, a traffic nightmare for thousands, and Howard County Police saying the event would likely not be allowed back.
Kind of ended up that there was way too many tickets sold and it was way overcrowded.
But Yuman Gao with F2 Entertainment says lessons have been learned and major changes are being made for the next event after seeing the demand just a few months ago.
Trying to figure out, how can we improve?
The Lunar Night Cultural Festival in January will be spread out over 2 days, have both a ticketed and free portion, a much larger venue at the Inner Harbor, plenty of parking garages nearby, public transportation, and now working alongside the Waterfront Partnership. No stranger to event planning on a large scale.
Working with Waterfront, who's an expert in event production and logistics in general, so hopefully we can, to create that like really cultural experience, immersive experience.
That just shows that there's like a huge demand for these events.
On social media, some still reeling from the last event, commenting to say it was a disaster, or warning people not to buy tickets for the festival in January. But those planning the Lunar Night Cultural Festival looking to set the record straight this time around.
There's an incredible cultural opportunity that we get to experience here on the waterfront.
Come and learn about, Lunar New Year.
I think there are a lot more options for people to explore, and that will also help with the crowd control as well.
Now, tickets are expected to go on sale sometime next month. I'm told some who attended that event in August were offered either a partial or full refund or an event credit to be used in the future for festivals like the one in January. Reporting live tonight, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
We have two stories right now on the education of your children. City rights icon Ben Crump joins a lawsuit against Baltimore City schools. We sit down with him about his fight for better education.
Plus, a bombshell revelation this week in Congress. The FBI director says a rise in young people committing crime can be traced back to COVID shutdowns. We have team coverage for you. Tom Rogers speaks with Ben Crump.
But first, national correspondent Atra El-Nashar examines the connection between COVID shutdowns in schools and juveniles committing crime.
The head of the FBI says he hears it from chiefs, sheriffs, even his own agents across the country. A rise in young people committing crimes.
And that is a real challenge for the legal system because we're not set up to very effectively deal with crimes committed by minors.
Ray says, especially in his home state of Georgia, one thing that may contribute to what he calls the juvenile effect is some kids not returning to school after COVID closures. Washington, D.C. police are among those struggling with youth crime rates.
Last year, the carjacking task force, in terms of number of arrests and all that the Metropolitan Police Department made, were 149 arrests for carjacking. 100 of those were juveniles.
A lack of comprehensive state and federal data make it difficult to draw a definitive link between school closures and violent crime. In fact, data from half the states compiled by Brookings show the pandemic had no negative impact on high school graduation rates. Still, there were fears right away of specific consequences that would come from the closures.
Mac Hardy with the National Association of School Resource Officers says they anticipated the behavioral toll closures and readjusting upon return to the classroom would have on adolescents.
And when it doesn't go the way that it's expected, the adolescent child is short-sighted and they feel like, they get very frustrated easily.
As schools reopened, the Department of Homeland Security warned of an elevated risk of targeted violence in schools, explaining the pandemic exposed students to potential risk factors like social isolation, financial difficulties, and abuse.
And we're seeing the effects of it. We're seeing kids acting out.
It will likely take time for things to feel normal again and for experts to understand the full effects of the closures and if it did lead to more youth crime. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
As we've reported, this past July, civil rights icon Ben Crump joined the lawsuit against Baltimore City schools.
Crump saying he wants to hold the school system accountable for the quality of education children in Baltimore receive.
Tom Rogers spoke with Crump this morning.
A lawsuit against Baltimore City Board of Education, city council members, and the mayor makes national news as the family claims taxpayer dollars are being wasted because their kids are not getting a proper education. Lawsuit gaining national attention, though, when prominent civil rights and personal injury lawyer Ben Crump joined in.
If you graduate without a quality education in today's society, then it's as if you're already imprisoned. They just haven't closed the jail cell door yet.
So you just released a book. It's called Crisis in the Classroom, and it was written with Dr. Ben Carson, political commentator Armstrong Williams. Tell us about that book that was just released days ago.
Now, I grew up and was educated in the public school system, so I believe that the public school systems where the majority of our children in America will be educated must not be forgotten about. And so we come with a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different political ideologies, and we try to have a robust discussion on how we deal with this crisis in the classroom in America.
Now, Fox 45 will be interviewing Dr. Ben Carson about that same book, Crisis in the Classroom, that he wrote with Ben Crump. That interview is coming up Tuesday morning. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
Trending right now, the Justice Department opens an antitrust investigation into Ticketmaster. This comes after nationwide anger and chaos related to the sale of Taylor Swift concert tickets. The New York Times reports the investigation will focus on whether Live Nation Entertainment has abused its power over the music industry.
And we're hearing from Taylor Swift for the first time regarding this saga. She took to social media blaming Ticketmaster for the fiasco, saying it's excruciating for her to, quote, watch mistakes happen with no recourse. Swift added that she would try to figure out how the situation can be improved moving forward. Well, trouble getting Taylor Swift tickets on Ticketmaster has sparked criticism of the company that goes back years.
The national desk, Dee Gatton, shows us now with a look at why some are pushing for legal action.
Live Nation merged with Ticketmaster a little over a decade ago. The Department of Justice okayed the deal. Now, back then and now, many say the deal should have been blocked, calling the company a monopoly. From advocacy groups to lawmakers, they're pressuring the DOJ to undo the relationship. Consumer groups say the two control more than 70% of the primary ticketing and live event venues market. Experts tell me there can be a danger that comes with that when there's less rivalry and less competition in the market.
There is a tendency when your rivals fall aside and you stand alone to feel less urgency to develop on those kinds of commitments because of your assumption that people are not going to have other choices to move elsewhere.
Professor at George Washington University Law School, William Kovacic, tells me unwinding the merger would be difficult and a long process. But he says the scrutiny over time tends to spark a company to have more care. He says he expects the company to strive to do a better job. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Gatton.
We are now picking up on a little bit of snow across parts of Maryland, along with a little rain. I'll break down when this all ends and what to expect for the rest of the weekend coming up in my full forecast.
There's a snow alert to the north, how bad it could get and how cold it will get as well. A live report coming up. And Lamar Jackson is absent from practice before Sunday's home game. Rocco DeSangro has Sports Unlimited. If you aren't wearing jackets and gloves right now, you'll probably need them this weekend. You're looking at live pictures outside. We are seeing dry conditions here, but the temperature will be dropping. Well, in western New York, residents are hunkering down for a potentially historic snowstorm. You're looking at video from Wyoming County. That's just east of Buffalo. You can see how massive snowfall has already buried roads and left a mess out there. Officials from the state were asking people to stay home and off those roads if they didn't need to be out there tonight. We have team coverage. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is in the studio tracking the storm and our very cold days ahead. But first, Chase Hull is live right now in Buffalo. So, Chase, how cold are conditions? How much snow have you gotten so far?
You know, Kai, it's not really that cold. What the bizarre thing is you could be somewhere and it'll be a couple inches on the ground. It depends on where you go. So you could say maybe 5-10 miles down the road, those inches turn into feet. And that was true for not only myself, but many in the Buffalo area. Near whiteout conditions as the Buffalo area gets hammered with snow Friday. Some places seeing nearly 4 feet of snow since midnight. Leaving many stuck in the snow and for some in western New York.
We were coming here, our flight hadn't been canceled, but by the time we got here it was canceled. Like I said, we came from the falls and I mean, there's nothing in Niagara Falls, just a little, little blanket on the ground. We got here and it's just unfreaking believable. While Geraldine and Todd Anderson couldn't wait to get back home to Niagara Falls, others were out enjoying the snow, like Emma and Jackson Cohen, who say they plan on relaxing during their snow day.
We just found out yesterday at lunch. It was crazy because everyone just shot up and started screaming and yelling about it. It's crazy. I've never seen this much snow, really, I don't think.
Nadine Helta says she decided to walk the 2 blocks to the gas station from her house to grab some snacks. She says today's snowstorm is giving her flashbacks to what she calls Snowvember of 2014.
We were like claustrophobic for like 4 days, 5 days. We had like 7 feet back then, 6.5, 7 feet. And walking up here and seeing actual movement kind of just makes you know that it's like not Armageddon.
Like the hundreds of other snowplows on the streets, Rich Kalita has been out clearing roads since 3 this morning. Well, as much as he can at least.
It's just been dropping right after you get it plowed out of the way. It's just filled right back up after about an hour. You come back and it's like you got another foot of snow there.
And I spoke to another snowplow driver who called this white gold. I told him, yeah, I'd rather take the real thing. Reporting live in West Seneca, I'm Chase Howell. Back to you, Kai.
All right, Chase, thank you. Chase, you stay safe in Buffalo. Here's meteorologist Jasmine Lomax. And Jasmine, I remember that storm from 2014. It was a monster storm then.
Yeah, I think I heard that was the one where Buffalo actually played a game there. The Bills played a game in the blizzard-like conditions. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their game. Now, for us here, we've got a home game. And it's going to feel like winter. Even though we won't have the snow, we will have the very cold temperatures. Right now, we're keeping track of this cold front moving across the country. It's actually leading to a little bit of rain and snow here. Of course, the lake effect snow is farther to our north, and that's what's impacting New York. Here's a current look on the HD radar. Notice we are seeing a few showers, but we're also seeing some snow being recorded across parts of the state. So this will continue off and on over the next few hours, but we are going to dry out after midnight. 45 for the current temperature over Baltimore with more clouds. It feels like it's 39 degrees, so it certainly feels like it's winter outside. It's breezy with winds out of the west around 14 miles per hour. Across the state, we're seeing 20s, 30s, and 40s, a little bit colder to our north and to our west, where they've dealt with a little bit of snow. We're not expecting much accumulation, if any. Overnight, though, temperatures fall to the 20s and the 30s, many of us waking up to below freezing conditions, so give your car some extra time to heat up if you're leaving early in the morning. As we head into this evening, we're still keeping track of a few showers, possibly a little bit of snow mixed within that. This all clears out after midnight. The clouds also clear, and then we'll start with plenty of sunshine tomorrow. We do stay nice and dry over the weekend, but temperatures just keep getting lower. Highs will be in the low to mid 40s tomorrow, then overnight into Sunday morning, we drop to the 20s. By the afternoon, expect a very cold day. Temperatures will only be in the 30s, struggling to make it to 40 degrees. We will have plenty of sunshine, though, and we keep those nice and dry conditions as we enter the upcoming week. 29 for the low temperature with the chance for a few early showers, possibly some snow mixed within that. Then we do dry out after midnight and the clouds clear. 45 for the high temperature tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. We are staying below average all weekend long. Sunday will be the coldest day, possibly breaking a record for the lowest high temperature. We could even break the record for the lowest low temperature, 22 degrees, as we head into Monday morning. 47 for the high on Monday with plenty of sunshine. Then we're finally back to the 50s and closer to average on Tuesday. 57 on Wednesday, then 53 for Thanksgiving. We stay mostly dry, but there is the chance for a few showers overnight, and that does continue into Black Friday. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, a special counsel is appointed to investigate Donald Trump, what the development means for the former president. And Lamar Jackson is not at Friday's practice. Find out why. Rocco DeSangro has Sports Unlimited coming up.
Lamar Jackson was not seen during the media viewing period of Friday's practice. Turns out he didn't practice at all. And when the starting quarterback of a football team isn't present during practice, it will, of course, raise some eyebrows. Ravens fans, I want you to take a deep breath, though. Although he showed up on the injury report, Lamar's absence is not injury-related. Here's what's bothering QB1.
Yeah, he had illness, so he couldn't go. He'll be fine for Sunday, yes. Oh, yeah. He just tried to get to practice, but was just too sick.
Hey, it happens. Maybe it's the cold weather, maybe it's something else, but Lamar is expected to play on Sunday. Mark Andrews and Gus Edwards have been listed as questionable as well for Sunday's game, as has Lamar. Andrews, a full participant in practice today, while Edwards was limited. Jalen Armour-Davis, he's dealing with a hip injury and is doubtful for Sunday's game against the Panthers. Having Andrews and Edwards back this Sunday would be huge for the Ravens. Andrews nursing a knee and shoulder injury, while Edwards has a hamstring issue. A knee issue was added to his designation on Friday, so both of their statuses for Sunday still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll wait till Sunday to say for sure. But Mark was out there, took quite a few reps, and Gus was out there limited. So, just when you got those guys, I'm of course I was planning on those guys being back, but I don't want to get ahead of myself yet.
Coming up tonight, conference championships on the line for a few of our local teams, plus how the Ravens are approaching Sunday's game against Baker Mayfield and the Panthers.
Rocco, thank you. Looking ahead right now, Fox 45 is your home for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The games kick off this Sunday at 4:30, and you can see all the action right here. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, new information on what caused an explosion that destroyed a Gaithersburg apartment complex earlier this week. And a demand from the Reynolds family after their key decision in court, the controversy surrounding a prosecutor on the case.
Tonight, the family of Timothy Reynolds calling for change from State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's office. The prosecutor they want back on the case and why they were removed in the first place. And firearms seem to be as prevalent as cell phones in Baltimore. The renewed calls to get guns off the streets. And a special counsel to oversee investigations into former President Donald Trump. Why the head of the Justice Department says he waited till now to make the decision, and the former president who's fighting back.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Breaking tonight, the fire and explosion at a Gaithersburg apartment building was likely started during a suicide at the apartment complex. According to Montgomery County Police, 36-year-old Juan Pablo Marshall Quizon died in the fire. His cause of death was burns and smoke inhalation, and police found accelerants at the scene. 14 people were injured in the fire and 47 residents. They now need housing assistance tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Maxine Stryker. The Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track, your Baltimore Minute.
The shooting death of Timothy Reynolds, police say at the hands of a squeegee kid, begs the question where and how the young teen got it.
There's so many guns out here until it's like asking him where did he get his cell phone.
The prevalence of illegal guns in this city is overwhelming. Prosecutor Rita Wistoff-Ito pulled from the Timothy Reynolds case. Reynolds gunned down at the Inner Harbor intersection of Light and Conway in July. A teenage squeegee kid facing first-degree murder charges. Wistoff-Ito accused of leaking these images to the victim's family's attorney.
Rita, God bless her, had the courage and integrity to say, I'm not going to do your dirty work. I'm going to stand up for the victim.
Baltimore residents quick to speak out against the fast-tracked bill aimed at lowering the number of years Baltimore city leaders must work to earn a pension. Currently, they must serve 12 years, but this bill would bump that down to 8. But voters we spoke with say it seems like city officials care more about making money than making the city a better place.
It feels like they only worried about money, and that's all they talk about.
Well, a day after Timothy Reynolds' accused killer is ordered to remain in adult court, Reynolds' family makes a new demand. The original prosecutor in the Reynolds case was pulled off it by the city state's attorney. Now the family is saying that prosecutor should be back on the case. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has the latest.
Rita Wistoff-Ito has worked in the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office for a decade, and she was the prosecutor handling the Timothy Reynolds murder case. That was until City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby pulled her from the case, accusing the prosecutor of leaking information. But now the Reynolds family is pushing back and demanding the prosecutor be reinstated. The already embattled state's attorney's office working with the skeleton staff facing more criticism, this time from a victim's family.
This is so ridiculous.
Prosecutor Rita Wistoff-Ito pulled from the Timothy Reynolds case. Reynolds gunned down at the Inner Harbor intersection of Light and Conway in July. A teenage squeegee kid facing first-degree murder charges. Wistoff-Ito accused of leaking these images to the victim's family's attorney. The images included in court filings showing the suspect captured on CCTV video, grabbing this backpack with the gun police say was used to kill Reynolds. When the images were made public, Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby pulled Wistoff-Ito from the case and took the other homicide cases away from her too.
Rita, God bless her, had the courage and integrity to say, I'm not going to do your dirty work. I'm going to stand up for the victim.
Dhruv Vignarajah, the attorney representing the Reynolds family as the criminal case plays out, says not only is Mosby wrong for doing what she did, but Wistoff-Ito had the legal obligation to hand over the information.
She did the right thing and was punished for it.
Pointing to this Maryland statute that says the attorney for the victim or victim's representative get copies of all records. After an hours-long hearing in a courthouse the media was kicked out of, the judge rejected a plea deal keeping the case in the adult court system, something the Reynolds family says they are grateful for and give credit to the original prosecutor.
Rita put herself on the line for us to make sure that the truth and that justice was done, and we are so grateful for all of that. We're so grateful.
The same one Mosby pulled from the case and now is no longer handling any homicide case.
She is morally, constitutionally, and legally required to do so. I really hope she wakes up and realizes that this is about more than just her and her private interests. It's about the city and public safety.
In a city with a growing tally of killings in a prosecutor's office, hemorrhaging staff members. I asked City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby's office if Rita would be reinstated and if the public would have an explanation about what happened. Her office ignoring those questions. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, the big question that remains is where that gun in the case came from. The defense tells Fox 45 News guns are everywhere, and it's easy to get one here in Baltimore. Alexa Ashwell dug further into the issue.
Over the past 2 years, Baltimore police say they've seized more than 4,000 guns from city streets. Yet we see a shooting nearly every day. Experts believe there are a number of factors at play.
The shooting death of Timothy Reynolds, police say, at the hands of a squeegee kid, begs the question where and how the young teen got it.
No, I don't. And you know, I've been asked that so much. And you know, there's so many guns out here. Until it's like asking him where did he get his cell phone.
It's a troubling reality even the mayor won't dispute.
The prevalence of illegal guns in this city is overwhelming.
To date, the Baltimore Police Department says officers have seized 2,245 guns. That's 226 more than this time last year. And it's not just on the streets of Baltimore. Guns are being found on students in city schools. Last year, city schools police seized a record 15 guns. And now, just 3 months into the school year, the department has already seized nearly half of that record number, with the 7th gun found on an elementary middle school student earlier this week. So are more guns flowing into Baltimore, or are police simply getting better at getting them off the streets?
There's no doubt about it. The Baltimore City Police Department have been collecting a lot of guns off the streets of Baltimore City, more so recently than they have in the past. They've increased their interaction.
Yet the problem persists. Law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers says ensuring consequence is key, speaking to the new and incoming Baltimore City State's Attorney, Ivan Bates.
The guns keep flowing back in, and repeat offenders keep committing crimes and having guns flow back in. So if you are Mr. Bates and you're coming into office, you're going to accept any and all help you can get, including this Al Capone model of dramatically reducing crime. You're going to work intimately with federal prosecutors.
The mayor also spoke to the need to increase accountability after an arrest, specifically speaking to the new and incoming city state's attorney, Ivan Bates. Reporting in Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Well, Timothy Reynolds is one of the nearly 300 people killed in Baltimore this year. Right now, 299 people have been killed, a nearly identical pace to last year, where 633 people have survived shootings this year, also one behind last year's number on November 18th. Well, the groups opposing Johns Hopkins, they plan to start a private police force, and they'll have their case heard in court now. 3 Baltimore residents are suing the state of Maryland, the university, and the Baltimore Police Department. According to a news release, those plaintiffs live near the campus and use streets primarily patrolled by Johns Hopkins security. The school says it needs a private police force to slow a rise in campus crime, while activists against the plan say additional police presence is simply not the answer. That hearing is scheduled for December 19th.
Now, a Fox 45 News Alert in 3, 2, 1.
Breaking tonight in newly unsealed court filing, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby is trying to get her federal trial moved to Greenbelt in Prince George's County. Mosby's defense team argues the prosecutor would not be able to get a fair trial in Baltimore, citing jury questionnaires from September when her trial was scheduled to begin before getting postponed. Now Ms. Mosby and her team want the trial to be held in Prince George's County, pulling jurors from the suburban Washington, D.C. area. Federal prosecutors argue moving the trial would be special treatment. They say the usual selection process is enough, in their opinion, to weed out potentially biased jurors. Maxine?
And here's a look at today's top trending stories. Number 1, Baltimore County Police investigating threats at multiple high schools tonight. The department tweeting a warning to families that extra officers were stationed at Towson and Eastern out of an abundance of caution. In a letter to parents last night, Towson's principal said the credibility of the threat was unclear. Police also said after investigating the threat at Eastern High School, it's unlikely there was any real danger to the students. Number 2, a Little Italy restaurant burglarized early this morning. According to police, 4 suspects wearing dark clothing threw a rock through the front door of Vaccaro's Italian pastry shop. It's on the corner of Albemarle and Stiles Street. Police say the group attacked the shop just before 4 o'clock this morning. No suspects have been identified at this time. Number 3, arrests made in a drug deal that ended in a deadly shooting. According to court documents, 22-year-old Mickey Robinson, 18-year-old Rashad Hamilton, and 24-year-old Marshall Shabazz have been arrested for the death of 28-year-old Vincent Leach in early October. Charging documents say the data from the victim's cell phone shows the suspect setting up a deal for a quarter pound of marijuana for $600. All 3 suspects are charged with first-degree murder. Number 4, possible relief for families who had their food stamps stolen from them. This week, Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger introduced the SNAP Theft Protection Act of 2022. The bill calls to allow states across the country to use their federal funds to reimburse any stolen SNAP benefits. Fraudsters have been skimming debit cards used to distribute food stamps, sometimes taking hundreds of dollars worth of benefits from victims. A special counsel appointed for criminal investigations into Donald Trump, what it could mean for the former president as he starts another run for the White House.
And it truly feels like winter as we're now dealing with a few rain showers and snow showers across the state. I'll let you know how long these last coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
And a mother says she didn't know what to do to help her child. The impact RSV is having on parents and hospital systems across the country.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Attorney General Merrick Garland has just appointed a special counsel to oversee two high-profile investigations focused on former President Donald Trump. The 2024 presidential race was part of the decision. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar has more.
Attorney General Merrick Garland transferring oversight duties to a special counsel in two Trump-related investigations that have been in the public eye, in one case since the aftermath of January 6th, and in the other following the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Garland explaining why now he thinks is the time for a special counsel to step in.
Based on recent developments, including the former president's announcement that he is a candidate for president in the next election, and the sitting president's stated intention to be a candidate as well, I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint a special counsel.
U.S. Attorney Jack Smith now overseeing the Department of Justice's investigation into any person or entity who interfered with the transfer of power or certification of Electoral College votes in the 2020 election. This does not include investigations of those who were physically on Capitol grounds on January 6th. Smith will also oversee the investigation of classified records and other presidential records and possible obstruction of that investigation. In a statement immediately following Garland's announcement, Smith says he intends to conduct the investigation and any prosecutions that may follow independently and in the best traditions of the Department of Justice. Garland says Smith's appointment underscores the DOJ's commitment to independence and accountability, both of which have come under attack by both the left and the right. Some Democrats critical of what they see as a lack of action to prosecute Trump, while Republicans accuse the DOJ of being politically motivated. Smith's appointment not expected to satisfy everyone. Many Republicans in Congress also calling for the DOJ to give special counsel authority to Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who was investigating President Biden's son Hunter, reportedly for potential tax crimes and false statements. Trump reacting to the announcement, telling Fox News he thinks the investigations are not acceptable, unfair, and political, saying he won't take part in the investigations. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar.
A historic winter storm has millions of people from Michigan to New York under snow advisories tonight. Buffalo is getting hit particularly hard with several feet of snow falling there. On the left, a live look at the city. On the right, the conditions on some of the roads there. And take a look at this. These are pictures taken by firefighters responding to a crash just outside of Buffalo. The snow coming down so hard you can barely see. We saw a significant cool down this week, and Jasmine Lomax is in now with more on if we need to be worried about snow here anytime soon.
Well, we are keeping watch on a few flurries, and you may see some of those, especially if you live north of the city. Now, here's a look over the harbor and over Towson. Not too bad over either location, but taking a look at the HD radar, and you see a lot of blue. That's all ahead of our next weather maker. Many areas dealing with lake effect snow, especially to the north. So that includes Buffalo, Orchard Park, just south of Buffalo. Actually, their National Weather Service reported 54 inches of snow over the past 48 hours. And it's still snowing, so more is on the way for them. Now here, we're actually picking up on a few flurries. You can see all of the areas in white. We did have a few rain showers, now picking up on just a few flurries, but this will all clear out. We're not looking at accumulation. Temperature is right now at 42, and it feels even colder, especially when we factor in those winds out of the west around 14 miles per hour. It is breezy and it is cloudy. Across the state, we're seeing temperatures in the 30s and the 40s, even the 20s as we look toward western Maryland, where they've also been dealing with snow. Overnight, numbers will fall to the 20s and the 30s. We're starting things off with below freezing temperatures, but by the afternoon, those numbers reach the 40s. There is that chance for a few showers as we continue into the evening. Maybe a little bit of snow mixing into that, but this clears by midnight, and then we stay dry as we start Saturday morning. Temperatures will be in the 20s and 30s to start. Then by the afternoon, high temperatures reach the low to mid 40s. We'll have plenty of sunshine, so that's a good thing. Then as we head into Sunday, we're in for the coldest day of the weekend and possibly a record-breaking day with our temperatures. We start the morning in the 20s, then by the afternoon, we only top things off in the mid to upper 30s. That's going to keep us below average, coming very close to a record. Then overnight, those low temperatures fall to the low 20s. That also is going to approach a record. 29 tonight with clouds clearing after those early showers pass. Then high temperatures will be around 45 tomorrow. We'll have plenty of sunshine. Winds will be out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. But we're in for the coldest day of the weekend come Sunday. I'll let you know how the forecast looks and what to expect as we enter Thanksgiving week, coming up in the exclusive 10-day forecast. Back to you.
Well, the Ravens are taking on the Panthers here in Baltimore this weekend. If you aren't planning to head to M&T Bank Stadium this Sunday, you can catch all the action right here on Fox 45. The Ravens will try to improve their winning record by beating the Carolina Panthers. Kickoff to that game is at 1 o'clock, and we'll have full coverage after the game on Sports Unlimited.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
As Buffalo, New York deals with an epic lake effect snowstorm, we want you to see this unique perspective from a drone over the city overnight. First, it captured lightning associated with the rare phenomenon of thundersnow, but you can also see downtown engulfed with bands of snow in the distance, all while the foreground remains clear. That's a common characteristic of these types of storms.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Hospitals packed, extra beds are being set up in tents outside. A closer look at how this surge in RSV is hurting families. In Assignment to America tonight, RSV continues to take a toll on hospitals and families across the country. Wait times are causing some parents to leave before getting their kids checked out, and with no specific treatment for the virus, families aren't sure what to do. Karina Vargas from our sister station in Seattle has the details.
My sister actually has a 1-year-old who just had it and was pretty sick for a long time, so ended up in the ER for a little while.
Alyssa Peterson is also a mom and says that it was hard witnessing her sister go through the pain of her son dealing with RSV, especially because there wasn't much to do to make him feel better.
There wasn't a lot to do, so I know they did some kind of steroid for him to help his lungs a bit, but there wasn't much to do other than just hope it doesn't get worse.
Peterson says her sister had to deal with the long wait times because of capacity issues and staffing shortages. And health officials with Marybridge Children's Hospital say patients are still waiting hours to get seen, with one of the longest wait times this week hitting 12 hours. And just yesterday, they saw over 220 patients.
Making sure that we have capacity to treat those that come see us and make sure that we prioritize the sickest and the youngest.
Other hospitals like Seattle Children's put a tent outside of their emergency room, and in a statement to Como, they said that the tent is a way to deal with the high volume of patients they're seeing. RSV has been around for many years, but doctors say that it's hitting hospitals hard because of a lack of exposure during the pandemic.
The numbers of cases has gone up, not just in the very young children who are the most vulnerable, but also in the rest of the population. And so the numbers of outbreaks are just going higher and higher and higher.
Health officials say while their hospitals are being overwhelmed with patients, they don't want this to discourage families to seek care. They do ask that it's important to be on the lookout for symptoms, especially as families gather for the upcoming holidays. In Seattle, Karina Vargas, Como News.
We are keeping track of a few rain showers and a couple of flurries across parts of the state. This is quickly moving out, and we are expected to stay dry after midnight. But if you're driving, just make sure to take it safely on the roads. Tomorrow, we'll stay dry with mostly sunny skies and temperatures around 45. Then we plummet to the 30s for Sunday. It's going to be breezy. So if you are heading to the Ravens game, just make sure that you have all of the layers. Wind chills will likely stay in the low 30s, or you can just watch the game right here on our station. 47 on Monday. Then we're back to the 50s as we finish out the upcoming week. 53 on Thanksgiving, then for Black Friday, 50s again, but we are looking at the chance for showers. After that, temperatures fall to the 40s. Back to you.
Well, if you're driving anywhere for Thanksgiving, there's some good news. Gas prices are falling. AAA says prices nationwide declined 3 cents in the past week to $3.70 a gallon. Gas is 29 cents more now than it was a year ago, though. And here in Maryland, you'll pay an average of $3.67 a gallon. That's 9 cents down from a week ago, but up 32 cents from last year. A holiday tradition at the Maryland Zoo returning tonight. Zoo Lights is back. The zoo turned the lights back on all throughout its exhibits just over an hour ago. Every night from now until January, families can go to see the animal habitats lit up, along with light shows displaying animals in a way you have never seen them before. The proceeds from Zoo Lights will go towards the zoo's animal care and conservation programs. Coming up this weekend, Fox 45 is your home for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The games kick off this Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Then Monday afternoon, don't miss the U.S. men's national team take on Wales. That's right here at 2 o'clock. And you can see all the action right here. That's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is next. We'll see you again tonight at 10. Have a great night.